More like The Price is Right. Just come on down.
Mr. Geoff Andrews.
Yeah.
Come on down. Let's spin the wheel and see what you win. You won an hour with Cody. Oh, that's like purgatory.
Yeah.
Like, good luck, sir.
Dang it. That's all right. I enjoy spending time with you, Cody.
Me too. It is so good to see you. It's been a little while. I actually got to have a conversation with your mom and your stepdad the other day. We had,
awesome.
Yeah, my wife's Christmas party with them, and Swede. I love having conversations with that guy.
Oh, he'll talk for a while.
We talked. My wife and I were like, when they get together, who do you think talks more, Geoff or Swede? And we both went Swede.
Oddly enough, I don't know. Swede will always be like, partner, how things going? I'm like, man, I think he thinks we're just both in a John Wayne show and just sitting here waiting for a tumbleweed to go by. So,
I love that guy. Yeah. Love your family. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course, Cody.
I think I'm going to have you read the trivia question in just a minute. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay. As he reads this question, remember that you're going to call that donation line at 785-621-4110. We sneakily do that. So when you call, we ask, can I take your donation? And most people are like, oh darn, I'm not here to donate. Well, you can answer the question then.
Yeah. Well, when I won the other day, nobody said donation. I said, hey, I'm just calling in to answer this trivia question.
You jumped the gun before that. Hey, wait, don't say your spiel. I'm just calling.
Yeah.
Okay. No, you can call in and answer the trivia question. You can call in and donate. You can do both at 785-621-4110. Here we go. Here's your question.
All right. Which of these Catholic schools is furthest west? A, Holy Family, B, Sacred Heart Plainville, C, Sacred Heart Salina, or D, Sacred Heart Colby? Which of these is furthest west? That's a super easy question.
I know.
It's like a softball.
Michael.
Yeah, come on. And I love it because look at the answer. He forgot to change what the answer is.
I wonder if he did that on purpose. So if he thinks that I just read everything off the teleprompter, oh my goodness.
Yeah, waiting for a caller, right?
Yeah, there we go. Which of these Catholic schools is furthest west? If you know your directions at all, is it Holy Family, Sacred Heart Plainville, Sacred Heart Salina, Sacred Heart Colby? 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Somebody's got to answer
we
that
also
softball.
We also refer to this community as the Oasis of the Plains, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's your hint if you couldn't figure out a map yet.
Giant gas station or something like that.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Thank you for coming in here today. Thank you for driving here from Salina and taking time out of your day. Are you making other stops today?
I came here only for you, Cody.
Oh, yes.
No. I actually went by TMP for a little bit this morning, visited with Bobby in the office some, and then came over here. I'm going to go over to Holy Family after this, then go catch some junior high basketball at the field house and at Kennedy, and then finish with the Hayes City shootout and watch TMP girls against Hayes High, and then TMP boys versus Hayes High. So
fantastic.
Fun day.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, let me introduce Geoff really quickly in case anybody doesn't know. His name is Geoff with a G.
The dumb way, according to Nate Bargatze.
Geoff Andrews serves as the superintendent of Catholic schools for the Diocese of Salina. There we go. Got it. This is his 6th year serving in this capacity after spending his first 15 years with Salina Public Schools, where he was a teacher, coach, and principal. Geoff is passionate about forming disciples, strengthening school leadership, and building relationships across the diocese. Geoff and his wife, Valerie, are high school sweethearts, and they live in Salina with their son, Reed. Whether he's cheering from the sidelines, recording Three Bald Guys podcast, or visiting classrooms across the diocese, Geoff brings a joyful, mission-driven spirit to everything he does. Fantastic. And today we get to talk about championing Catholic education. So what a wonderful topic to be in here speaking with us. We actually just, I don't know if you saw what Michael and I, we've got this little baby of ours. We're going around and we're doing short, like under 9-minute interviews. And we got to go to TMP here.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Do the Thanksgiving thing, and it was just nice to be able to walk up onto campus. And there's just something special when you walk onto our Catholic school campuses.
I 100% agree. I say that every time I talk to a person.
I don't know. I mean, it's like you walk up and there is just a little bit of peace, kind of just fulfillment when you walk onto any of the campuses in our diocese that have Catholic schools. I love it.
I visited with a person today, actually on the phone on my drive out here, who is discerning possibly joining Catholic schools after, a career in public schools. And they just asked me, what's it like? And I said, it's something different. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You feel it when you walk in. You feel it when you talk to students. You feel it when you talk to teachers. Do we all have our bad days still
Oh, yeah.
sometimes? Yeah, but like, it's just different. Even just walking in TMP to go visit with Bobby and drop some stuff off. I saw 3 kids on my way from the side door to the office. Every single one of them said, "Good morning. How are you?"
Wow.
Looked at me in the eyes, said, "Good morning. How are you?" Like, that
Wow.
doesn't happen everywhere. And those
Yeah.
just little things, they matter.
Yeah,
So
that is awesome. So maybe we can get you started then on the diocesan mission. It encourages us to be disciples of Jesus on mission. So in what ways do Catholic rural schools, rural has always been a hard word for me to say. How do they pass on the faith, form virtue, and strengthen families and communities?
I try to weave our mission statement into a lot that I do. I don't know if it's 2 years ago now, Bishop Vinke came up with this mission statement. We talked about it in a lot of meetings at the chancery. And then he knew he wanted to start it with together. Like, everything that we do, we just do together. We're better working when we're alongside, other humans.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted together to be in there. And then obviously, the Great Commission is we're supposed to go out and be disciples of Jesus. Now, you can't just be a disciple of Jesus. You've got to do something with it. You don't keep it to yourself. It's something that we share. So you always got to be on mission. And we talked, I remember Bishop Vinke saying, sometimes we get stuck in just maintaining mode. He goes, we're not made to be maintaining. We need to be on mission. He goes, not just our priests, not just our Catholic school teachers, everybody, all of us, whether we work for the church or, we work somewhere else in the community, we all need to be a disciple on mission. And so that's hopeful. I mean, that's the main thing I want our kids to get when they leave our schools, is that they're a disciple of Jesus on mission. And I think it doesn't start at our school. It starts at the home. And so when we have a good partnership with parents that, can also teach the same virtues that we're teaching in the school, and then they go to mass with their kids, receive the sacraments with their kids, like, it just all comes together so well. Whether they all become rocket scientists or they stay at home to raise their family, I don't care what they do, as long as they're doing it with joy and on a mission. So
yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because parents do have such an important role to play. And, I've heard those horror stories of people in other schools and stuff, and, and I had to call and parents chewed me out. And personally, I've never actually had to run into that. Thanks be to God for that. Now I'm on more of the public side, because I'm the DRE.
Mm-hmm.
But the Catholic parents that I call, generally, I talk to them and they're like, you know what, we're going to take care of this right now.
Yeah. Yep.
and so
most of them are like that, but there's also some times where we maybe make mistakes on our end as a school, and you got to apologize and up to it and try to do better the next time. But I would say, 99% of the time, like, there's such a strong partnership that we all have the same goal for the child, to get to heaven.
Yeah.
And, teachers have, an educator's heart, which they want to see growth in that child, just like the parent wants to see growth. We don't have teachers that want to see somebody fail. That's not why people became teachers.
Yeah.
So
a couple of things that maybe we can spotlight, and, one of these things you're going to be able to help me out with, because I only get to see the Catholic schools here in Hayes, because I don't have kids in the other ones. So I know what we're doing, but I also want to spotlight the other Catholic schools in our community and what they're doing, because one of the things that, as you were talking about, Bishop saying we can't be stagnant. We can't just stay where we're at. And we all know what that breeds.
Mm-hmm.
That ends up breeding contempt. And pretty soon you're just like, we're a private school, but not really a Catholic school,
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about being serious about being disciples and being a Catholic school. Something really cool that TMP just did with their music ministry team. They came over to St. Nick's and did all the music for our 11 o'clock mass the other day.
Oh, awesome.
And this was started. So Cheryl Glassman, who works also with St. Nick's, she approached them and said, hey, can we get this going? And so now the music ministry team is going to look at going to different parishes and saying, hey, this is what we do.
Yeah, let us come bring you some great music on a weekend
so we can showcase, that we're willing to put ourselves out there and show this ministry forward.
I'd love for the people of Shinshin and Antonino and all those parishes, because those Heartland parishes are helping the Hayes Catholic schools financially, through stewardship. How cool to have the music ministry, Monarch Music, go there.
Yeah. So as soon as we can grow that, and as soon as we can get there, I think that's the plan, is to have them be able to travel around, So do you have, and I know a lot of times I do this, I derail a conversation.
That's okay. That's all right. So do I.
You're a guy that likes to talk. So
yeah.
What are some other things that you could highlight in Catholic schools within our diocese that you're like, here's what's going well. Here's where they're killing it. Here's where they're really showing forth some of the things they got going on.
I'm afraid I'll leave some of them off, because I will say our Catholicity is very strong in all 15 schools. So our schools are in 12 different communities, 15 different schools. So like in Hayes, obviously we have 2 schools, Holy Family, TMP, but one community. So in our 12 different communities, when you enter a school that it's a Catholic school, either from, an icon that's, on the wall when you walk in, the crucifix is sitting there. I mean, the feel of it when you walk in, I mean, we are Catholic and Catholic first, not private. We are Catholic schools. And so when I hear, some schools, maybe say they're Catholic, but they're more private, I don't experience that in the Salina Diocese whatsoever. And so that's something that's really awesome, that I know we don't have to necessarily work hard on that, because it comes by nature. And we have great priests in the diocese that are our pastors at our schools that shepherd us. And so, and the principals and teachers teach every subject, through a Catholic lens. So they get, you're just not getting the gospel during the religion part of your school day. You're getting it weaved in throughout everything. So, but great things, I guess, some projects that are going on, in Hayes, the creative learning building, the tech building that's going up there at TMP, I think is awesome. In Salina, they renovated, it opened last November, an old convent that had been a smaller preschool. It now houses about 90 kids, infant through preschool. And they were just using one wing of this convent. They're now using both of them, and got a grant through United Way to do that, $1.6 million. Wow. So that's been huge. And
this is for preschool purposes?
Yep, infant to preschool. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. There's talk of possibly an early childhood education center going up on the campus at $7 in Manhattan, at Manhattan Catholic Schools. St. Andrews in Abilene just added a couple classrooms and a large music space and a couple more conference rooms, about a $2 million project that opened up last year. It's a beautiful space there that Father Peter and Principal Chris Whitehair led. Salina Sacred Heart High School just started pouring cement a few weeks ago for a new fitness facility that's part of a larger plan. They last November opened a newly renovated chapel that was a library that's at the front of the school. And for 30 years, it's been talked about, hey, let's put the chapel front and center. So finally some funds were raised, and we did it. And so the school kids can have mass in there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Father John Schmeidler does kind of a 0-hour mass before school starts. And so you see teachers and students in there at 7:40 in the morning. And if you've been to a Father John Schmeidler mass, it's done already, right? 15 minutes in the morning, he gets done, but it's really cool to see that happen. St. John's Beloit is on fire right now. I mean, a few years ago, they literally had a fire. You've heard Father Jared talk about that, but the parish renovation is done and beautiful. There's early plans being talked about, some possible expansion of the school and some things there. 3 Marian sisters from the Lincoln Diocese moved to Beloit. And so we've got 2 of them teaching in our school. One of them helping at the parish hall or at the parish office. One's helping coach volleyball. One just celebrated her 30th birthday, and all the kids from the school had a birthday party for. I mean, it's awesome. Really awesome. We've got the IHM sisters here at Holy Family and TMP. Hanover has a church project right now. That's a few $1 million. And so went through that a few weeks ago with our new CFO, Ben Suing, and Bishop Vinke, to be able to look at that. And the parish is right next to the school. And so, having to have the school gym now be where the church is, where mass goes on, because we're renovating the parish and hopefully maybe get in before Christmas. Oh man, I feel like what else are really about? Always a lot. Got steering committee started for possible capital campaigns in some communities. Tipton Catholic, I think, had a 70% increase in students this year. Now, that's because we had 14 kids last year. Now we're like at 20, but it's cool to say 70%.
I've been there before.
A great group of kids. Everywhere. Plainville we had a few more kids come at the end of the 9 weeks in Plainville this year. Good things happen at St. Mary's and Ellis. I just feel like, Cody, I have the best job probably in the diocese.
That's awesome.
Bishop might say it's his, but I don't know.
Working for him is pretty awesome. So I want to break in really quickly and congratulate Paulette Reichert. She is a faithful listener, donor, and supports us in so many ways. Thank you, Paulette, for listening and getting that question right. That first question was, which of these Catholic schools is furthest west? And funny enough, Michael wrote down Genesis. Michael, that wasn't an option. That would be Colby. Obviously, with our directions, Holy Family's here in Hayes. Plainville is Plainville. Salina is east. That left with one choice. So we'll get to another question here in about 15 minutes. But you are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We do these carathons twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, and we make sure that we do our budget according to what is needed to keep all these 5 stations going, to keep the lights on literally, and to make sure we're putting out the programming that everybody enjoys. So please help us to continue putting out that programming. We've got EWTN programming. We've got several different of our own local programs run right here in the station. Please help us to continue putting out the gospel. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. We are getting back to talking with Geoff Andrews about championing Catholic education. So we've talked a lot about the good stuff. We're going to go into a little bit more heavy, but I think this applies very much to our faith also. With youth out there, and there's lots of books out there just about, mental health crisis and what's going on. I mean, first off, for us as Catholics, we have a lot of answers that the secular world can't. They just can't answer that. But that is one of the key initiatives in Catholic schools, is the development of this mental health intervention team and the expansion of support across all our schools. So can you give us some insight then into, one, how did the initiative get its start? And then why is it so important? And what are the results that we're seeing within our Catholic schools?
Yeah, I think there's a misconception out there, Cody, that people think, Catholic schools aren't part of this mental health crisis that's going on in our country.
And it's there.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And I think, pandemic, brought it clear to the surface level. Now we're almost drowning in it. But MHIT, Mental Health Intervention Team, is something that the state of Kansas started even pre-pandemic with public schools as a way for public schools to get better connected to the mental health partners within their community. And so then just 2 years ago, they said, you know what, we're going to open up this funding that's out there, this grant to private schools, private accredited schools. Oh, awesome. And so we were one of the private accredited school systems that applied. It was just us in the Wichita diocese. And so we were both awarded with it last year as kind of a pilot base. And so we had it in 7 of our schools. And then this year have been able to bring it on full board. And so what it does with all 15 of our schools, depending on the geographical area they're in, they work with their local mental health partners. So in Hayes and West, it's High Plains Mental Health. In north part of our diocese, basically Manhattan, and then north towards Beloit and Tipton, that is Pawnee Mental Health. And then Saline and Dickinson County is Central Kansas Mental Health. So we've got memorandums of understanding with each of these mental health agencies that through this state grant, we're able to push on some funding to the mental health partners, as well as keep some funding at the school local level to help reimburse salaries of either maybe a principal or a school counselor, some of their salary, because they're the ones then setting up some of these appointments and seeing the kids where they are. So it's been a win-win for both, win for the kids, because now we have, if a kid needs a therapist, and parent gives permission and all that stuff, and they're recommended, instead of having to find that appointment at High Plains Mental Health that might be at 5:30 and you're waiting for mom or dad to get you off work to get there, and does it work, and we're going to be running late, the therapist can come into the school and do the session during the day there with permission from the parent and the school if it all works out. Or in other places we can do it telehealth wise. Now obviously our first preference is face to face, but if a student in Beloit, if we can't get the counselor there that's coming from Pawnee Mental Health, maybe they can do a Zoom with the student. And then all of our mental health agencies know that, like, hey, we are Catholic schools. I don't need you talking to kids about X, Y, Z, some things out there. So they respect that. in Salina and Dickinson County, Central Kansas Mental Health, they're like, Geoff, we're stretched pretty thin. We don't have a lot of therapists to be able to go out and about. We would love to. And I said, well, what if we tried something hybrid and we use a couple private therapists who I knew a little bit who are Catholic. I said, instead of you guys getting all these funds, can we split it 3 ways? Like you get a third for doing the crisis management part of it, the 24/7 crisis support if we need it. And then a third to this therapist and a third to this therapist. They're like, yeah, we'll do that because we want these kids to get support.
Wow.
So in Saline and Dickinson County, Maureen Francois and then Lydia Kirchman, who are both parishioners in Salina, are able to go to the schools. And it's great to have them because they get it. They get where we're coming from. But what's crazy is like we could use more. I mean, there are kids that, in every age from kindergarten to seniors in high school, there are kids who need other people to talk to. So, and as teachers, sometimes we're expected to be that support, and we can as much as we can. I mean, you've coached, you've taught. I mean, these kids need us, and there's things that I can't provide for them because I'm not a therapist that are over my head. And so it's been great support for us. We hope the grant still continues. I don't know if it will, but it's pushed $677,000 to our schools.
Wow,
now,
good.
35% of that goes on to mental health agencies. And then the rest of the schools can help to cover some of the salaries of stuff. And so, because we've got financial crunches at every school in the diocese, so every little bit helps. And so I thought this has been a great partnership with the state of Kansas and our mental health providers.
Wow, that is awesome. And as you're talking about that, another thing I think we have going, and I get that not every Catholic school has this, but where we do, and we have priests on campus, we just had Father Brian McCaffrey in here.
He will tell our priest. I mean, they're so pastoral
that
they can sit down and visit with a kid, and whether it's to hear a confession or to just talk them through a relationship or how they're feeling overwhelmed and anxious, it's the best.
Absolutely. And that's another one of those things where just like, you can't get that at a non-Catholic school, and so it's just another added piece because we also have, I believe, Father Job comes over from Victoria, and he has a background. In mental health. And so, like, wow, holy smokes.
Yeah, he'll go into the classrooms and do little nuggets about mental health. And so it's great that we have Father Job here. Father Brian actually is my first contact this summer I had a student in a crisis situation, and I called Father Brian right away. And I said, I need you to talk to this adult, and then you need to get to this student when you can. He said, all right, Geoff, I'm on it. Went to Bishop, and I said, Bishop, is that okay that I'm bringing Father Brian in on this? Because I think he's the one that can reach. And he said, absolutely. And huge help.
Wow, that is fantastic. We are talking with Geoff Andrews about championing Catholic education. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon. We do have that Carathon drive going. We have this going until tomorrow at 6, but we want to see if we can get those matching funds used up today. Start calling into 785-621-4110. I know that you guys do all the heavy lifting, and we thank you so very much for that. We have amazing donors. I know you're out there listening, and we want to say first, thank you very much. Also, second, we want to say continue those prayers. This station, all 5 stations, they're going to go wherever God wants them to go. And so we thank you for the prayers. We thank you for the heavy lifting that you do. Please consider donating if you haven't before. If you have donated and you think maybe you can up your monthly donation or just give an extra one-time donation, that is wonderful also. Please call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. And let's jump back into our wonderful discussion with Mr. Geoff Andrews. All right. So I wonder then if we can start talking about, because you were talking about funding, and I'm reading here that there is a state tax credit scholarship.
I know. So I feel that I'm going to use your Carathon to talk about funding my schools. I feel bad about that.
No, that's actually part of the blessing.
Yeah. So after you call in Divine Mercy and give your donation, that gets a match, by the way, right? There's a match. Absolutely. So if you're interested in getting a state tax credit. So years ago, the state started a system. It's a tax credit scholarship for low income students. And so this can only go to students who are, at a certain level of family income, and they have to be new to our Catholic schools. So either entering kindergarten for the first time, or they transferred from a public school in the state of Kansas to our schools, and then they and they also fit the criteria for the financial level. So the donor receives a 75% state tax credit. So if you give $1,000, which is our minimum, then $750 of that becomes a credit towards your state taxes. And so the past few years, we've raised over $100,000 each year. And then that $100,000 is divided amongst the students in our diocese who qualify. So this year we have 119 students. And so the 100,000 divided by 119 students, each student got under $1,000. Doesn't go to the kid, it goes to the school to help with the cost of education for that kid. So, when the family finds out, hey, we did qualify and we're going to get $800 towards school fees, I mean, that's a huge help.
Yeah.
And once a family qualifies for the scholarship, once the student does, they don't have to reapply. Even if, the kid grew up and family qualified financially when the student was younger, and then 3 years later, mom and dad both get promotions at work and they got, raises, doesn't matter. Kid still qualifies and will get it until he graduates high school.
Holy cow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So that's on the state level. And so that runs through our Catholic Foundation in the diocese. So you contact Heather Hartman, our CEO for the foundation, and she could get you the paperwork that the state needs for the state tax credit. But, it's been really awesome to be able to have this funding, and it's not a lot. I mean, would we love to have $1 million every year to give away? Absolutely. So if anybody's tired of all their state taxes going to roads and prisons, then I guess, you can get your state tax credit to go to our schools and help a family that really needs it.
Wow. That actually is a win-win. It's kind of like donating here. You help save souls. Win-to-win.
Yeah. And what could be coming next is a tax credit at the federal level that is dollar for dollar, but there's a maximum of $1,700. So we think we're a couple years out from that still. All 4 dioceses are in contact with each other on when this comes down from the federal level. Each governor of the states will have to opt into it.
Okay.
So whereas our state tax credit, the minimum level is $1,000, there is no max. I mean, of that 100,000 that we raise each year, a large percentage is a couple donors that take advantage of it. Maybe whether it's their business or whatever, they would like to have the state tax credit, that they take advantage of it. But this federal tax credit, the way it's written, every person, individual, won't be for businesses, but every individual could get a dollar for dollar federal tax credit up to $1,700. So my wife and I could each give $1,700 to the SGO at the diocese. That $1,700 then goes to qualifying students to help cover the cost of education. So if every person in the diocese just did, hey, I got to pay my federal taxes anyway, here's $1,700, I'm going to get my federal tax credit for it, and it's going to help our Catholic schools, that then helps your parish, because then your parish won't have to subsidize your school as much.
Yeah. Wow.
So now we also have to have a governor that opts into that. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. What happens there.
That is really cool. I had no idea about that, but that is very neat. One way that we can make, especially because at the Catholic school level, we don't see our tax dollars going to our schooling. And so this is one way that we can take more advantage of that and be like, well, you know what? I can give it so that it does work.
Yeah. And school choice could be coming in the state of Kansas. We see it in Oklahoma, see it in Missouri. And so usually what happens sometimes when surrounding states pass certain legislation, it kind of makes your way towards it. Current climate right now, probably not, but in 5 years, possibly we could have school choice, and talks of those could be, some people call them vouchers. I guess for lack of a better word, that's what it could possibly be, but it's not taking away funding from a public school. Public schools will still be funded.
Yeah.
This would be a different pocket of money that they'd be able to use to help with, students going to an accredited Catholic school.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
Wow. That would be pretty cool. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We're talking with Geoff Andrews about championing Catholic education. So let's get back into it. And actually, let's get to another trivia question. I just saw.
You want me? All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Call 785-621-4110. We're about 30
Michael do all
early.
These?
Yes, Michael. So
they're all softballs. Come on.
I know. Sometimes he needs to make them harder during the day. I'm not going to complain though, because I don't have his job.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go with your question.
All right. Which of these schools in the diocese is furthest east? A, Sacred Heart Colby, B, Thomas More Prep Marion, C, St. Mary's Ellis, or D, St. Mary's Salina?
785-621-4110. We don't even need to read that twice. 785-621-4110. Look, he didn't write down the answer as Genesis this time, though.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. It's 2 blocks from my house, actually. So my son will be walking home from this
If you
school.
know where Geoff lives, call 785-621-4110 and you'll win. And we will get you put into that drawing at 6 o'clock for that gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. By the way, have you ever been in Messenger?
No, I haven't. And I
Okay.
need to go by there because I need to get some Christmas presents.
Yes, absolutely. Go down there. Tell Jerome that I sent you. They are great people. They just had their first boy. I think they have 6 girls and 1 boy.
Okay.
They're a wonderful family. Their store is amazing. You'll walk in there and you'll
I get a present every year from there from Bill and Mandy Mayer usually. So I need to go in there and buy
Absolutely. It's such a beautiful store. So homey. You walk in and you're just like, wow, I could spend a long time in this store and spend a lot of money too.
Okay.
So, right. Here we go. Back to talking with Geoff Andrews about championing Catholic education. So obviously the school is not just focused on, let's get D1 athletes, right? They're also not just focused on, let's get good grades. So how is our whole diocese and our Catholic schools within it raising expectations for all of our kids so that they become the whole person that they're supposed to be?
Yeah, I think what people assume when they think about, a Catholic school is that it's an independent school. It kind of, it sets its own curriculum. It does whatever test it wants to do. It says, our 15 schools work as a district. We call it a school system. And so one way to do that is we want to make sure that, our teachers have some autonomy of lessons they want to teach. They're going to follow, standards though.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that kids are getting high quality instruction in the classroom. And so we have a classroom observation tool that we've started to use more that looks at what quality instruction looks like. So we're looking at everything, not what the teacher is teaching, but what's the learning environment like? So do we have active students? Do we have engaged students? Do our students feel supported? Meaning, is every kid feel okay to raise their hand, even if they think they might be wrong because they know it's a safe place? Like that's the type of classroom that you want. Is there progress monitoring? Does the teacher give good feedback? Do maybe students give each other feedback? Is there good discourse that takes place? So through these sets of, observations that we do within the classroom, our lowest scoring one, all 5 years we've done this, is digital learning, which I find
that's okay.
Great. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, at first when we did this, people were like, oh, we got to do more. No, you don't. We can share these results with every parent. And I think every parent would be totally pleased to say, that's okay that your digital learning's low. Because our observations are only 20-minute snippets. Mm-hmm. Do our kids use Chromebook and technology? Yeah, sometimes, obviously. But guess what? It's not all the time. They're not glued to it. And so I love that part of it, that our kids are always learning. And, when there's an awareness of what quality instruction looks like, then as the teacher, you're kind of planning different. I need to keep him engaged. I need to keep him active. I also need to differentiate because student A learns different from student B.
Yeah.
Teachers multitask more than, possibly any other profession in the world. So it's been fun. And these observations are done by principals. They're done by teachers. Teachers can go do peer observations to look at each other. And it's not in a critical way. It's in a, let's see what good practices are. And then myself and Dr. Campagnon, the retired, our former superintendent, who's a consultant for us, he and I hit the road and go do them in classrooms across the diocese. And it's so awesome to see that our students and our teachers don't care when the superintendent's in the classroom. They know it's not a gotcha. We're just there to visit and see what's going on. And it's really cool when I can go in, with a checklist of things I'm looking for. And I talk to students, hey, I'm here to watch you guys and see what you're doing, And so, just one way to make sure that our kids are learning while they're in there at a high level. So,
awesome.
And our results show.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I had many experiences where I talked to former students and they were like, you know what, after TMP, actually college was boring. and I've heard that more than once, and a lot of other people that are like, oh yeah, especially with my gen eds, they were so easy, which is a really good problem to have. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're the end all be all, but I do have to say that the Catholic schools in our diocese, we've even heard from from professors at Fort Hays who are like, I can generally tell a kid that came from TMP.
You will usually see in our community where we don't have a high school, the valedictorian from the public school is usually a student who attended the Catholic grade school in town. I just I don't say that to be boastful, but I think it's just something that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to quickly break in and congratulate Lorraine Brungart. She got that question. Geoff lives in Salina.
Yeah, just a couple blocks south of St. Mary's grade school.
There you go. St. Mary's in Salina is the furthest east of the schools that we mentioned. So congratulations to Lorraine. She will win. Well, she will get put in the drawing for that gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts, and this is where Geoff is going to go visit later.
That's right.
Go down to 10th Street, go see Jerome and Angela, see if one of them is there working. Sometimes Jerome's mom is there working out in case the baby needs some help at home or something like that. But yeah, great people. So congratulations to Lorraine. And remember that you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. Having a wonderful conversation here with Geoff Andrews. And we're going to get back into talking about championing Catholic education and kind of looking at what does that look like for the students? What does that look like for everybody around? So Geoff,
call me whatever you want to.
Woo! On the topic of faith and formation, let's talk about the Respect Life Conference. How does this make an impact on students who attend that?
Yeah, so I think this is the 5th year we've done this. It's on a Wednesday in October during the Respect Life Month. And Rick Binder and I are the ones who started it. Corey Lyon helped us get going with it as well. 5 years ago, we brought the Sisters of Life in, and they talked one night at St. Isidore's. So we knew they were coming to the area anyway, so you're able to use them. And the Respect Life Conference is for our juniors and seniors at our Catholic high schools. So we bring the students from all 5 high schools together for a day in Salina, not just to learn about life and respect life at all stages. So from conception to end of life, to death. We do not just focus on abortion. That's part of the talk, but we also talk about self-respect, respect of your peers, respect of your elders, respect for the dying. We start the day at the Salina Fieldhouse, which is a sports complex. There's 6 basketball courts in there. It's not used during the day a lot, so they rent that out to us, have a speaker, a few come in, have the kids sitting kind of in bleachers listening. Some years we have breakout sessions where Father Brian McCaffrey might lead one. Sometimes Focus missionaries from Fort Hays and K-State will come lead breakout sessions for the kids and just kind of digest what they had heard from maybe the keynote speaker. We had Life Runners come a couple years ago, Dr. Pat Castle, and talk to our students. Noel Garcia has came past couple years. This year, though, we took a different approach. We used people from the diocese. So Stecklines, Meitners, Chris and Kathy Clark, who are a Salina couple. Let's see, Meitner, Stecklines, Chris and Kathy Clark.
You're talking Kelton and Jill Steckline.
Yes, Kelton and Jill, yeah. And then Colby and Sarah Wetter, who are a couple in Salina. And each presenter talked about respect life from their perspective. So Chad and Sarah talked about respect life and what it looks like with their youngest, with Abe. Colby and Sarah talked about losing a child very young that they knew they were going to lose, and how, and they shared pictures of their kids with the kid that, that they lost. Wow. It hit home, and each presenter had about 20 minutes to share. And so with kids, students today, they're not going to listen to an hour. 15 to 20 minutes to listen to. Chris and Kathy Clark Chris talked about living as one of 17. He has 16 siblings, one of which is his brother, Father Dana Clark, who's over at St. Mary's in Ellis. Yeah. And so they talked about that, and then also raising some of their own siblings' kids who maybe had some issues there.
Holy smokes.
So and then Kelton and Jill talked about adoption and their experience with Catholic Charities. So, and then I visited with students about what respect looks like to those that are imprisoned. And I shared a story about a buddy of mine that did a couple years of prison time in an Alabama prison, and what that looked like with our friend group, and how we learned a little bit not to be judgmental and try to help the person through the process. So we then walk from the field house a couple blocks to the east, and we all go to Sacred Heart Cathedral, where Bishop has a mass. for us. The noon mass, it's there. So we're with, parishioners that are there for their noon mass for the day. And then there's 180 high school kids.
Wow.
And then we have pizza in the Hall of Bishops, and then go back into the cathedral where we pray a rosary for life. And then the kids all kind of get back for the day. So a chance to learn about Respect Life, but also a chance for these kids to connect. I forgot to mention at the field house, we have a 30-minute session where they get to go either play knockout, dodgeball, kickball, flag football, and just relax and get to know each other, because these kids are going to be the ones that are at the Como Campus Center with Father Andy or with Father Gail at St. Isidore's or wherever they may go. And I want them to start to connect with each other, because they're going to then see each other at prayer in action or at a friend's wedding or maybe marry each other or something.
Yeah. So, wow, that is awesome. Whole bunch of focusing on theology of the body.
Yeah. Yep.
And learn how to respect one another for who you are. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, there are many amazing things that you guys are doing within Catholic schools. And one of them, it wasn't just specifically Catholic schools, but it was Catholic people. This last summer, you went on a pilgrimage.
It was awesome.
So yeah, we want to hear some about that.
So when I accepted this job, this is something that I dreamed of, was taking a group to Italy on a pilgrimage. In 2016, that was my last year teaching and coaching at Salina Central. But I had been approached by a sports group sports travel group to get a group of Kansas girls and go play basketball in Italy. So I did that, and it was on that trip in Italy, coaching those girls. And even though this was a sports driven trip, when in Italy, you visit churches, right?
Yeah.
And I was go to mass every Sunday, but I didn't do much within my parish. And on the flight back, I told my wife, I said, I think I need to teach confirmation class. I need to do something. I said, I'm going to call Father Keith when we get back. So I did. It's August. He says, yep, we start in 3 weeks. You want 7th grade or 8th grade? Here we go. Come over. So I did that. And that trip, I got closer with Father Keith. 5 years later, Father Keith talks to the bishop about me possibly working for the diocese. That trip truly planted a seed that's still blossoming, I think, in me today. So I knew I wanted to plan a trip. And so we took 34 people to Italy this summer, probably about 14 students, 15 parents, some other adults went as well. Most of them were Catholic school students. A couple of them were CYO kids, public school kid. We had a family from Dighton Go that's not part of the diocese, but close enough to hear that we had some spots. So they opened up. So kids from St. John's, kid from St. Xavier's in Junction City, some Sacred Heart kids. We all loaded up. Oh, and Tipton kids. No TMP kids this year. Hopefully next time we go, we get some of them. And we met at TMP. Mr. Meitner let us take the bus, and we drove overnight to Denver, got to the airport, and then, short flight to Dallas, long flight to Rome from there. And we drove to Naples first and the Sorrentine Peninsula area. We then went to San Giovanni Rotondo, where Padre Pio is. Yeah. Father Brian and Father Jarrett went with me. They were our chaplains on it. We started our day on the bus with morning prayer. And some kids got on this bus not knowing what morning prayer was and the Liturgy of the Hours, which before I took this job, I didn't know what Liturgy of the Hours was, And so by midway through the trip, every kid knew when we get on the bus, side A, side B, we're doing Liturgy of the Hours. At night, we'd meet in the hotel lobby or on the bus if we were coming back somewhere and do night prayer together. Being able to be in the side chapel where Padre Pio, there was a picture of Padre Pio saying Mass at the same altar. Father Brian and Father Jarrett were celebrating Mass with us. Our students, the way we had this set up, our students were able to do the Mass ministries at every Mass, be the lectors, read the petitions. So that was really cool. I could probably talk a whole hour on just the trip, though, Cody. We went to Lanciano, where the Eucharistic miracle happened.
So did you guys go get to see the Eucharistic miracle?
We had Mass there, too. Father Brian and Father Jarrett had said Mass there with the Eucharistic miracle right behind them.
Oh, my.
We went to Assisi, where 2 months before he's canonized a saint, our students got to see Carlo Acutis.
Wow.
And then we see St. Clair, and then we go to I forget what it's called, the small church that St. Francis built that now there's a basilica around the Porta. I don't know what it's called, but went in there and got to kneel and pray, the same place that St. Francis would have prayed. We got to kneel before the cross that St. Francis knelt before.
Yeah.
I have a cool picture of Bill
The
Mayer,
San Damiano cross.
who was getting ready to be ordained a deacon right before we went on this trip.
Yeah.
Of him kneeling before that cross, and it's just, and then we go to let's see, finish in Rome. So we finish our trip in Rome at the Vatican. We got to have mass below the altar at the bones of St. Peter.
Wow.
With just the Salina Diocese group.
No way.
We did the pilgrimage through the Holy Doors, where Dominic Eilert, who just started in the basketball game for St. John's Tipton Blue Jays on Tuesday night against Sacred Heart, out there getting rebounds. And as I see him, I'm just so proud because, just a couple months ago, he's carrying our crossing for our group through the Holy Doors during a Jubilee year. I mean, just.
That's awesome.
Yeah, something, I don't know, I'll never forget.
Wow. Yeah, that is such a blessing. I'm so glad that you guys were able to do that.
Oh, and we got front row for the papal audience.
Oh, really?
So Father Brian and Father Jarrett, Metro wasn't open yet. The train wasn't running.
Uh-huh.
They organized. Our group of kids wanted to be there early. So the priest said, and the parents said, we'll do it. 2 kids didn't want to. So I was like, well, we're going to need 2 adults to stay back. I'll sleep in 2 hours. So, but Father Brian and Father Jarrett saved us seats. We were on the rails of the first 2 rows. I mean, we were right next to Pope Leo when he came by.
That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's something that those kids that's going to have an impact on their life forever.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, when we were in Naples, we went to the Naples Cathedral, and that is where the blood liquefies 3 times a year.
Oh, yeah. I've read about that.
So, and it was at a different location this time, but just to be there, it was awesome.
That is awesome. Wow. So another big thing, or actually, I don't know, this is the first that I'm hearing about it.
Yeah.
But another big thing is this close? Is this just a thought? What is this about a potential new Catholic high school in Manhattan?
Yeah. Manhattan had a high school that closed in the early 80s, Lucky High. And right where that high school was is where our pre-K to 8 is right now. There's 2 buildings across the street from each other. One houses the 4th grade through 8th grade. One has the pre-K through 3, right across the street from $7. But for 4 years, we've kind of just explored this. And hard thing is, to build a new high school costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does.
You see it here in the Hayes community.
Yeah.
Even in the Salina community, they did a bond 10 years ago where they renovated high schools and built a new South High. And you're looking at, $100 million.
Yeah.
And so if we were to build a new high school or something in Manhattan, we're looking at $70 to $100 million that we would need to do this. So don't know how feasible that is right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely a goal of mine, before I'm done in this job, that get something going there. So we might start small, whether that's maybe something small at one of the parishes in some classroom space. And we have some kids who want to continue with Catholic education, and, maybe it's 4 or 5 freshmen, and then next year it's 4 or 5 freshmen, and then 6 to 7 sophomores. I don't know. We'll see. So definitely something in the early stages. But
something for people to pray about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's on Bishop's heart. We've talked about it a lot. So.
Awesome. Well, you are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We're on with Geoff Andrews. We're talking about championing Catholic education. We're going to get to some other things in just a minute, but I do want to remind you that you can take us with you anywhere. You can get to us on the radio. You can go to dvmercy.com and click Listen Live. You can download the smartphone app by simply typing in Divine Mercy Radio in your app or Play Store. That's actually what Geoff is doing right now.
That's right.
I'm kidding. He was texting. And then you can also get us on Amazon Alexa. So, or the Amazon Echo Alexa, whatever. I have some in my house. They listen about as well as a 3-year-old. So all you have to do is say, enable the Divine Mercy Radio skill for whichever one you want, and it'll do it. You can also watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. If you guys are out there, I sometimes forget the camera's even going, so I hope I don't do anything too stupid. I also want to say that we have $21,498 left in matching funds, so let's use these up. Get that ball rolling. Once again, 785-621-4110. We believe in the mission of saving souls. That's what we're trying to do. Help us out. Help us to keep the lights on. Help us to keep the radio waves going. 785-621-4110. By the way, after Geoff is done, I think the bishop may be coming in person. So
he
we
is.
will see. I
thought he
just
was
got a
calling in.
message that
Nice.
said if Bishop is late, I can come in and talk, and that's from Michael. So we'll see. So Bishop may be here.
Huh.
You guys should have carpooled.
Well, no, this morning, because I'm staying for basketball games, going to be here late tonight, but I thought he was zooming in.
Oh, then
They're not
maybe
zooming
he
in, but
is.
calling in.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what they mean. Maybe he's gonna be late to his Zoom.
Okay.
Doggone it. You just broke my heart. All right. Well, back to our conversation.
He does change his mind often, so he might be outside.
All right. So kind of switching gears a little bit. And yes, I did just get a message that he's zooming. Dang. But switching gears a little bit on our topic that we have going here, because you're over kind of in the area. You know, I know Beloit has a lot to do with the Eucharistic revival, but then also even within our Catholic schools and stuff like that, there's all kinds of things going on. So what can you tell us about what you are helping with, your efforts, the diocese efforts? What's going on with all that?
You know, I think it was cool because, you know, there's not a lot of top-down things within the Catholic Church that I see. You know, for the most part, parishes can do things, dioceses can do things. But USCCB a couple years ago, when they said, hey, we're having a Eucharistic revival, and we're going to do a 3-year process. It's going to lead up to, the Eucharistic procession in Indianapolis and the big national conference we had. That idea kind of kickstarted things, and Bishop said, let's do something here. You know, so we've had 2 years now of a Eucharistic conference here in Hayes at Fort Hayes, and it was awesome to have Mass in Gross Coliseum this last August and see, you know, a couple thousand people from the diocese there at Mass. And so that was really awesome. And the Adoratio Foundation out of Beloit, Andrew Newald, have kind of taken this bull by the horns and said, let's increase adoration within the diocese. And not just the diocese. I mean, their goal is the world. Let's increase adoration throughout the world. And so we're seeing that in pockets throughout the diocese. You know, you'll pass a billboard on I-70 that's got a Eucharistic adoration on it that was put up. And so I think that's really cool. But we have a few perpetual adoration parishes with 24/7 within the diocese. But then there are parishes now that are picking it up, whether it's, you know, let's do 24 hours straight, or let's do 12 hours, and just getting more people to spend time in the presence of Christ has been really cool to see. And then to watch it at our schools has been awesome. You know, it might be in Salina, for instance, there is every Friday during religion class, the kids go to the chapel.
Yep.
And the Eucharist is exposed, and that's their class for the day.
Yeah.
And there are kids there who aren't Catholic, who, you know, are spending time in the presence of Christ in quiet and silence, reflection.
Yeah.
They might journal. It's beautiful to see. Now in Salina, the 6th graders are starting to walk over to the junior, senior high and spend some time on Fridays in there. So you see it growing. Yeah. The parish in Abilene, when Father Peter will expose the Eucharist and the kids get a chance to whether they sit or they kneel, and just our hearts need peace and quiet, and there's no better place to get that than sitting with Christ. I'm fortunate enough to fill in sometimes at a 3 a.m. hour. No one else is there except you and him, and it's just there's no peace like it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can increase this across the world and go.
That is absolutely.
I mean, even
awesome.
Bishop, we started doing it at the Chantry. So we have a chapel at the Chantry that's getting painted hopefully in the next couple of days. That needed a little bit of renovation to it. The altar, Corey Lyon built from some old things. It's a really cool place for Chantry staff that we have morning prayer together. And then at 3 p.m. we meet for Divine Mercy Chaplet. And then about once a month, Deacon Steve will set up adoration throughout the day. And so then we each take 30-minute increments throughout your day, and someone is in the chapel, one of us from the Chantry, praying for everybody in the diocese. And so
that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Speaking of praying for everybody in the diocese, I forgot to add about Italy. One place we went was the cave where St. Michael the Archangel appeared.
Oh, really?
3 times in Gargano. And
holy smokes.
We had Mass in that cave, and there were people, you heard 15 different languages when you're in there, but it's Father Brian and Father Jarrett doing Mass, our kids doing the readings. And there were, 84 or 86 stairs, but Father Jarrett mentioned, he said, on your guys' way back up, he goes, that's how many parishes we have in the diocese.
No
Think
way.
of that,
Wow.
Offer that up for all the parishes. So
that's so
cool.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. We have about 5 minutes left.
All right.
I know that there are some people out there wondering what's going on with Three Guys Baldcast. Three Bald Guys podcast. There we go. So maybe you can give us some insight into that.
I think we're on a sabbatical. I don't know. It is so hard to get Father Jarrett and Bill and I scheduled we did a live broadcast of it at the Eucharistic conference, kind of as people were registering. We were set up on the stage and did it. And so the 4 people sitting there got to kind of see what we do. But hopefully this, January, February, we can get back in the studio. Just renovated a new space at the Chancery that we made a podcast studio and also a place to do some video recordings that Bishop would like to do some teaching stuff, or Father Gail might use it to do some teaching things. And so have that new studio that we're going to start doing our podcast from. And it's been fun to just tell the stories of what's going around the diocese. Father Jarrett has the priest perspective and diocesan level stuff, but also his parish level stuff in Beloit. And Bill's got the perspective as a deacon now, as a teacher, as the head of religious ed and married life and all the areas that he has.
Yeah.
And then, I've got it from the school point of view and a parent point of view. So the fact that we all happen to be losing our hair, just, I guess, something else. So,
all right. Last thing then, can you share some stories of grace-filled moments you've had while visiting Catholic schools? We had some good stories earlier, but didn't know if there are any other things that, as you travel around, you're like, this was such a blessing to experience this.
Yeah. The number one that sticks with me the most, and I will never forget this, it's first month on the job, first 2 months. It's right after Labor Day in September, and we had a little girl, Cecilia, in Abilene that goes to St. Andrews, get hit by a car on her way to get on the bus in the morning with her 2 older siblings standing on the road beside her, and she walked out. I mean, just
I remember
tragedy.
Yeah.
And that day, going over to the hospital with Bishop and with Chris Whitehair, our principal, visiting with that family, and then going back to the school with Bishop and Chris and walking into every classroom and Bishop telling the kids what happened to their friend, their classmate, the girl that they see every day in the hallways, and then praying with them. Like, I've never been more touched. I was just like this, I couldn't do that at the public school I was at. I couldn't have prayed with kids like that or tell them or say, hey, you know what? This is a tragedy, but Cecilia's going to be okay. And here, she's with our Lord. And and Cecilia's mom works at St. Andrews now. And every time I'm there, we have wonderful conversation, and it is a tragedy, but everybody's learned from it. It's awesome.
Smokes.
Or even NCYC a couple weeks ago, we take 550 kids and 150 adults to Indianapolis, and a decent amount of them are Catholic school kids, but other ones are our CYO kids from all over the diocese. And to be with those kids there and see them excited to go to adoration. When you watch a video of what did you love about NCYC, and most of the kids are saying the closing mass, adoration, confession when there's 150 priests there, just cool. 17-year-old Geoff, I wasn't saying that. I mean, I was Lutheran too. I wasn't going to big conferences like that. But they're sitting on a bus with friends, and some are probably thinking, "Oh, my parents made me go to this." And by the time they leave, I mean, you could hear a pin drop in Lucas Oil Stadium. With 16,000 kids during adoration.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Another thing that you mentioned that I think is absolutely amazing, and we've got 60 seconds or so, is the Mass. When the priests process out, you would think that those kids were there for the Super Bowl. It is ridiculously awesome because the priests come processing out and the kids are on fire. They come through that tunnel and kids are reaching over and clapping and cheering for their priests. That it's just who does that?
We had 2 on the opening session. 2 of our diocesan kids were up on the main stage during it, during a fun game that the MCs has brought them up for. I'm like, man. And it was 2 kids that went to Italy with me too, but I'm just like, this is awesome.
That is awesome.
I have the best job.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Geoff. We've been blessed by your presence. We really appreciate you, and keep praying for us, man.
I will. Yeah. Keep praying for me, and I'm going to head down to Messenger.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We want to thank an anonymous donor who gave $300. That makes a $600 donation with our matching funds. Let's keep using them up. Let's see if we can get through all of our matching funds today. I'm going to let you guys listen to Michael here a little bit. He's in training. No, I'm just kidding. He does a great job. Thanks, Michael, for always updating. He's going to give you guys some information, do the top of the hours, and we'll be right back with our bishop here in just a few minutes.